The pursuit of happiness is a natural human instinct, a quest that often promises fulfillment but can, tragically, lead to devastation. For Gail Wyngarden, what began as a journey toward love, stability, and family ended in horror when a chilling betrayal shattered everything. The newlyweds' dream life, full of hope, was torn apart the moment they stepped into their new home. A violent act that no one saw coming set in motion a series of events that would haunt their families forever. This is the story of a family destroyed by secrets, jealousy, and murder. A story of a betrayal so deep that it would remain hidden for years, until it finally came to light in the most shocking of ways. Welcome. This is Crime Uncovered, where every case has a story, and the truth is often stranger and darker than fiction. If you yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so to stay updated on the latest crime we would uncover next. Gail Wyngarden was born on April 24, 1965, in Ottawa County, Michigan, into a large and tight-knit family of 8 children. The Wyngarden household, though not rich by any stretch of the imagination, was overflowing with love, care, and support. Her parents, while struggling financially, ensured that their children never lacked the emotional nourishment they needed. The modesty of their lives only served to strengthen their familial bond. Love was their wealth, and it flowed freely between them. Despite the challenges that came with growing up in a working-class family, Gail's parents instilled in her and her siblings the core values of hard work, resilience, and the importance of sticking together. The lessons they learned around the dinner table were not about wealth or material success, but about the strength of family ties and the value of perseverance through tough times. However, as much as Gail appreciated the deep sense of security and connection that came with her family's love, she couldn't help but feel a longing for something more, something outside the confines of their small-town life. She was a young girl with big dreams, and she yearned for independence, freedom, and a life where she could carve out her own future. The rural community where she grew up, though filled with familiarity and love, felt limiting. She felt trapped in a world where every path seemed predetermined. Gail envisioned a future where she controlled her destiny, a life where she could stand on her own 2 feet and make her own way in the world. This drive for self-sufficiency became the foundation of her teenage years. At 16, rather than relying on her parents for everything, Gail sought out ways to support herself. She took a job as a server at a local cafe. The job, while humble and far from glamorous, gave her a sense of independence she had craved for so long. The modest base salary was not enough to cover her dreams, but the tips, earned through her genuine smile and hard work, added up quickly. Gail's charm, coupled with her relentless work ethic, made her a favorite among the regulars who frequented the cafe. Her natural warmth and cheerful disposition made her a standout in a small town where everyone knew everyone else. Though many of the men who showed interest in her were harmless in their attentions, some were more persistent. These men, drawn to her beauty and bubbly personality, would linger outside the cafe after her shifts, hoping to strike up a conversation or offer her a ride home. At times, their interest turned into unwanted advances, and Gail found herself in uncomfortable situations. Some men would wait outside the cafe, pacing back and forth as if unsure whether to approach her. Gail, though polite, was always wary of their persistence, and this attention began to wear on her. Fortunately, Gail had a fierce protector, her older brother Ryan. Ryan was deeply loyal to his sisters, and his protective nature made him a constant presence in Gail's life. Whenever Gail would mention a man who made her uncomfortable or showed excessive interest, Ryan would make sure to step in, ready to confront anyone who made his sister feel uneasy. While Gail sometimes resented Ryan's overprotectiveness, especially during her teenage years when she felt capable of handling things on her own, she appreciated his unwavering support. She knew that, no matter what, Ryan had her back. Ryan's protective watch extended beyond just her relationships. He made sure that Gail stayed out of harm's way in the small town where danger often came from unexpected places. In a town where gossip ran rampant, Gail often felt the eyes of the community on her, especially as she blossomed into a young woman. While many of her peers were busy following traditional paths, such as settling down or joining the local social scenes, Gail remained focused on her own personal growth. With Ryan's vigilance and guidance, Gail was able to pursue her dreams of independence without being sidelined by distractions, ensuring that she would one day escape the limitations that had defined her youth. In 1984, at the age of 19, Gail was still finding her way in life. After years of striving for independence, working hard to support herself and navigate relationships that never quite felt right, she had begun to believe that true happiness was elusive. But all of that changed when she met Rick Brink, a 25-year-old contractor who walked into the cafe one afternoon where she worked. It was one of those rare moments when two people meet, and it feels like fate has arranged their paths. Their connection was immediate and undeniable, as if they had known each other for years, even though they were strangers. Rick was drawn to Gail's charm and effortless beauty from the start. There was something about her warm smile, her easygoing nature, that made her stand out to him. But it wasn't just her appearance that captivated him. It was her spirit, the way she carried herself with a quiet strength that resonated with him deeply. After their brief interaction, Rick couldn't stop thinking about her. That night, he went home and told his mother with conviction that he had met the woman he wanted to marry. It was not just infatuation. Rick felt a connection with Gail that was unlike anything he had ever experienced before. For Gail, meeting Rick felt like a turning point in her life. At that moment, she realized that she had been searching for something deeper than the surface-level relationships she had experienced in the past. Rick wasn't just another man who had caught her eye. He was someone who truly understood her. He was someone she could envision sharing her life with, building a future, and facing the challenges of the world side by side. Her time with Lars, the man she had been seeing before, had never carried that kind of depth or emotional resonance. She had been in that relationship for the wrong reasons, seeking independence from her family but not love. The connection she now felt with Rick was different. It was genuine, and it was everything she had been looking for. This realization didn't come easily. Gail had invested time in Lars, and leaving him wasn't something she did lightly. But when she looked at her relationship with him, she saw that it was a product of circumstances, not true emotional connection. As she spent more time with Rick, it became clear to her that she had outgrown her previous relationship. She made the difficult decision to end things with Lars, hoping to find something more fulfilling. However, Lars didn't take the breakup well. His anger boiled over, and in a moment of rage, he struck Gail, leaving her with a painful black eye. Gail was shaken by the violence, but she didn't feel truly threatened. She had someone who would always have her back, her brother Ryan. Ryan had always been protective of her, and when he learned about what had happened with Lars, he wasted no time. With a fury that only an older brother could muster, Ryan confronted Lars, delivering a harsh beating and making it very clear that no one would ever lay a hand on his sister again. The incident left Gail bruised, both physically and emotionally, but it also marked a turning point, one that led her away from her past and toward a new beginning with Rick. Once Gail moved on from Lars, Rick quickly became the center of her world. Their relationship blossomed almost effortlessly. They were a perfect match, sharing the same values, the same ambitions, and a passion for the same things in life. They both wanted stability, a sense of belonging, and a life filled with love and adventure. As their relationship deepened, Gail began to realize that she had found the man she could trust with her heart. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, and they spent as much time together as possible, getting to know each other in ways that felt both exciting and comfortable. One of their favorite places to escape to was Rick's family's lakeside house, a tranquil spot that seemed to embody the peace and serenity they both craved. There, in the peaceful embrace of nature, the couple spent hours boating, water skiing, and enjoying outdoor activities. It was the kind of carefree happiness Gail had always dreamed of. As they spent time together in this idyllic setting, their relationship shifted from casual to something much deeper, something that felt destined to last. By the summer of 1985, the couple was inseparable, and Rick knew that he wanted to take the next step with Gail. He had found his soulmate, and he wanted her to know it. One quiet afternoon, with the calm of the lake surrounding them and the sun casting golden rays on the water, Rick proposed to Gail. It was a simple yet deeply meaningful gesture. As he got down on one knee, asking her to spend the rest of her life with him, Gail felt overwhelmed with emotion. She had waited for this moment, the moment when she would finally have the life she had always dreamed of: love, stability, and the promise of a bright future. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said yes without hesitation. The proposal marked the beginning of their future together. As they planned their wedding and the life they would share, Gail felt a sense of fulfillment and peace she had never known before. They talked excitedly about their future, about the house they would create, the children they would raise, and the adventures they would embark on together. Gail knew that with Rick by her side, she had found the happiness she had been searching for. It was a dream come true, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly at home. By the time Rick and Gail got married in April 1986, just one day after Gail's 21st birthday, they had become completely inseparable. Their connection, so deep and unwavering, had grown stronger with each passing day, and their wedding was a reflection of everything they had dreamed of together. A life filled with love, promise, and shared goals. The ceremony was intimate, small but beautiful, surrounded by close family and friends who had witnessed the couple's blossoming relationship from the very beginning. As they exchanged vows, their hearts were filled with an undeniable sense of commitment and hope for the future. The simplicity of their wedding was fitting for the couple. There was no need for extravagance when the love they shared was so evident in every glance, every touch, every word. After the ceremony, they celebrated at a lakeside club, enjoying the company of those they held most dear. The evening was filled with laughter, dancing, and moments that would forever be etched in their memories. As the sun set over the water, casting a golden glow over the horizon, Rick and Gail knew that they were beginning a new chapter of their lives, one that was rich with the promise of everything they had ever hoped for. Their honeymoon that followed was peaceful, a quiet retreat where they could simply enjoy each other's company, far away from the busyness of daily life. It was a time to relax, reflect, and talk about the future they were about to build together. They walked hand in hand on the beach, the salty air filling their lungs, and they made plans. Small plans for everyday life and grand plans for the years to come. It was during this time that they talked about children, about the kind of family they wanted to create. They were filled with excitement and anticipation, ready to embrace whatever the future held. When they returned from their honeymoon, they dove into the next stage of their life together. Rick's father had helped them find a home, a large 20-acre property just outside Holland, Michigan. The house was perfect for them, but it needed work. There was much to be done before it could be truly called home. But Rick, being a talented carpenter, was undeterred by the work ahead. With his hands and his heart, he began to renovate the house, bringing his vision to life with each swing of the hammer, each brushstroke of paint. Gail, ever supportive and enthusiastic, joined him in the renovations. They spent long hours together, painting walls, polishing floors, and furnishing rooms. There were moments of frustration, sure, but they laughed through their mistakes and found joy in the process. Every day was another chance to make their dreams come true, and together they built something that was more than just a house. It was their home, a home filled with hope, love, and the memories they were creating together. By the time October 1987 arrived, Rick and Gail had been married for about 18 months. The house was still a work in progress, but it was becoming more and more their own with each passing day. The rooms that had once been bare were now filled with furniture, personal touches, and pieces of their life together. But there was one room that Gail was especially excited to finish: the nursery. She couldn't wait to fill it with the laughter of children, to decorate it with toys and soft, pastel hues. The thought of starting a family made her heart swell with joy. She could already picture the little ones running around the house, their voices echoing through the walls she and Rick had worked so hard to create. She was eager to start the next chapter, one that would be filled with the pitter-patter of tiny feet and the warmth of a growing family. Everything seemed perfect, the future so bright with promise. They had so much to look forward to, and their love for each other was stronger than ever. But life, as it often does, has a way of throwing unexpected challenges in our path, and fate is a force that can change everything in an instant. On the evening of November 21st, 1987, Rick and Gail attended a wedding for one of Rick's friends from school. It was an evening full of joy, celebration, and love. They danced together, laughing and enjoying the night, surrounded by people who cared for them. As the night wore on, they left the wedding around 11 p.m. Their hearts were full, and they looked forward to returning home to their peaceful retreat, their minds filled with thoughts of the future. It would be the last time anyone would see them alive. The following Monday, November 23rd, Rick's boss grew concerned when neither Rick nor Gail showed up for work. Rick, known for his punctuality and reliability, had never been absent without notifying anyone. When the boss called Rick's home and received no answer, he reached out to Rick's parents, who were equally alarmed. Gail hadn't shown up for work either. Rick's parents, along with his boss, rushed to the Brinks home, fearing something was wrong. When they arrived, they found Rick's Chevrolet Blazer parked in the driveway, which gave them some sense of relief, thinking that perhaps the couple had overslept. But when they approached the vehicle, they were horrified to find Rick's body slumped in the driver's seat, blood covering his face from a gunshot wound to the head. Inside the house, things were even more disturbing. In the master bedroom, they found Gail's body, lying with her head covered by a pillow. But when the pillow was removed, the truth was revealed. Gail had been shot 3 times in the face, execution style. At first, the police suspected a murder-suicide. They thought perhaps Rick had shot Gail in a fit of rage and then killed himself. But this theory was quickly disproven. No weapon was found near Rick's body, and the scene didn't suggest a suicide. Instead, it pointed to a third party being involved in the brutal killings. The case was puzzling. No physical evidence pointed to a robbery or a random attacker. There were no signs of forced entry into the home, and everything seemed in order, except for the horrific murder scene. The murder weapon, a .22 caliber revolver, was missing, and investigators believed the killer had taken it with them. The police focused their attention on those closest to Rick and Gail. They questioned friends, colleagues, and relatives, trying to piece together any clues. They learned about Gail's past relationship with Lars, which had ended violently when Lars struck her. Gail's brother, Ryan, suggested that Lars might have still had feelings for his sister and could have been motivated by jealousy. However, after a polygraph test and a solid alibi, Lars was ruled out as a suspect. Weeks later, a new lead emerged. Shotgun Sit, a former resident of the home, came forward with information about a possible link to a Detroit motorcycle gang, but further investigation found no evidence to support this theory. The case grew cold once again. After 2 decades, the case remained unsolved, but in 2009, the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department created a cold case unit. Detectives Dave Blakely and Venus took on the case, reviewing old files, witness statements, and inconsistencies. One key revelation came from Gail's brother, Ryan, whose behavior and alibi seemed increasingly suspicious. They began to dig deeper into Ryan's background, discovering troubling details about his past, including his relationship with Gail. Through interviews and the revelation of new evidence, investigators uncovered that Ryan had a history of inappropriate behavior toward his sister. A former girlfriend of Ryan's even revealed that Ryan had confessed to an incestuous relationship with Gail, beginning when they were children. This shocking information opened a new chapter in the investigation. Finally, after years of fear and silence, Pam, Ryan's wife, came forward with the full truth. Pam had been forced to cover for Ryan all these years, fearful of the violence he would unleash if she ever told anyone the truth. In 2013, after multiple rounds of questioning, Pam revealed that Ryan had confessed to the murders. He had gone to Rick and Gail's house to discuss family matters, but the argument escalated, and in a fit of rage, Ryan killed Rick and then murdered Gail in her sleep. Ryan's confession, though made under duress, finally brought justice to the Wyngarden family. He was arrested and charged with the murders of Rick and Gail. In 2014, after a lengthy trial, Ryan was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The brutal murders of Rick and Gail Wyngarden shocked their community and devastated their families. Though justice was ultimately served, the years of pain, fear, and manipulation left a deep scar on everyone involved. Ryan's actions tore apart a family that had been once close-knit, revealing dark secrets that had remained hidden for far too long. But despite the darkness, the truth finally came to light, bringing closure to a tragedy that had remained unsolved for decades. If you found this case as chilling and mysterious as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime stories. Don't miss out on future cases, updates, and deep dives into true crimes.